Well, greetings, my Minnesota Studies students. This is Mr. Burns here, and this week we've been learning about Charles Pillsbury and his role in the flour milling business. We're going to take a deeper dive into legal problems. So, during his lifetime, Charles Pillsbury is going to have two big legal problems. One of them is going to be involving lawsuits against some of his competitors who were stealing his business ideas. And then the second one is going to be what happened when Charles Pillsbury died. Pillsbury is a pretty fortunate man. He was born in New Hampshire and he made a little bit of money in the food business in Montreal, Canada. He came out to Minnesota joining an uncle and he landed here in 1869. And the uncle and Charles invested $10,000 in a failing flour mill. People told him at that time, oh, this is a terrible idea. You're just throwing that money away. But Pillsbury proved them wrong. And he brought over milling machines and he improved them that had steel rollers inside of them. And these machines were turned by the power of St. Anthony Falls. And then he also brought in what was called the middlings purifier, which removed the bran so that you could get a better pure grind of the wheat. And Pillsbury was a smart man, so when he improved these machines, he also patented them. So patent means it's kind of your machine to use and people aren't supposed to copy it. So we still have things like patents and copyrights today. And again, the two machines were the steel rollers, which you see in this picture, and the middlings purifier. Here is another Charles Pillsbury innovation. So along the Mississippi River in the falls of St. Anthony, he built this giant building, and this is the Pillsbury A Mill, and it was designed by engineers and architects. So it was specially designed to be the most efficient flour milling building in the world, and in 1882, when it was completed, it was the biggest flour milling operation in the world. Now, Pillsbury's competitors like to see his machines and steal his ideas, and so he took them to court. And in 1886, he wins a major victory against these companies that were stealing some of his innovations and ideas. So Pillsbury wanted to protect the lead that he had in the flour milling business, and he was willing to go to court to do that. So just to recap, Pillsbury wins his first sets of legal problems against other flour millers that were trying to steal his ideas for the machinery that ground the wheat into flour. The second one comes along in 1899, and what happens in 1899 is that Pillsbury is a relatively young and healthy man. He's only 62 years old, but he has a stroke, and he doesn't survive this stroke. Now, most people, when they are going through life, they accumulate property. They have homes, they have bank accounts, they have cars, they have investments. And when you die, somehow this money has to be divided up amongst your heirs. Here's just a quick look at Pillsbury's mansion. It's in a part of Minneapolis called the Whittier neighborhood. It is in private hands. It had been a library and a business building before, and it was also owned by several members of the Pillsbury family. The current owners of it are trying to restore it back to what it was like when Charles Pillsbury lived there. So here's the problem that the Pillsbury family has. Charles Pillsbury dies suddenly, and he doesn't exactly have the clearest plans about what's to happen after he passes away. So who's going to run the Pillsbury business? Is it going to be his brother John, or is it going to be one of the two nephews here, Henry Pillsbury or John Pillsbury? Is it going to be other members of the family? What's going to happen to all the money he's accumulated in the flour business? What share is it going to be shared equally? Is somebody going to get more than someone else? So when you die and you don't have a will, that's how your property gets divided up. Often a court gets involved. So all the different members of the Pillsbury family are hiring lawyers, and they're going to be involved in a lengthy court case to just decide how things are going to be divvied up. Pillsbury had sold his mills to a group of English investors in 1889, but the company was still heavily involved in running the business of flour milling. What happens then is that the lawyers they negotiated a settlement, and Henry takes over a prominent position in running the company. James and other family members also have kind of executive roles in the company. Henry kind of introduces a new style of corporate ownership, and so he makes the Pillsbury Company more like a modern corporation with the CEO, things like that. And as time went on, the family members played less and less of a role in the Pillsbury Company. All right, so let's summarize what we've learned today. In looking at this map in front of you, you see where Pillsbury's house is located in the Whittier neighborhood of South Minneapolis. It's now called the Pillsbury Castle Project. And in this video, we learned that Charles Pillsbury had two big legal problems during his lifetime in running this company. The first was just suing competitors that were stealing his ideas or trying to take the technologies that he had developed without paying for them. So these technologies were pretty important because they made Pillsbury Flour Company one of the leading flour milling companies in the world. And then the second big legal challenge to Charles Pillsbury actually comes at the time of his death. He died without a really good will in place, and so the family members were kind of left to fight about how his assets and his money and his properties would be divided up. So thanks for listening. You can rewind this and watch anything you need again to get a better understanding of Charles Pillsbury, flour milling, and some of the legal challenges that he faced during his life.